Have you ever watched someone confidently walk into a room and walk out with a black eye? My best friend Camille had been texting me for a week straight about her new boyfriend, calling him perfect, saying I absolutely had to meet him. So when she told me to come by her college dorm, I went. You're finally here! Come in! You're going to love him! I rolled my eyes at her excitement and walked in, only to freeze immediately. There was a guy standing in the room that I was very familiar with, Derek Johnson, the same guy who had stalked me for an entire year and forced me to switch colleges. He was smiling, standing with open arms and waiting for a hug. My entire body went cold, the room started spinning, and for a second I thought I'd gone unconscious. Camille was already talking, squeezing his arm and telling me his name was Derek, as if I needed an introduction. Jordan, he said, while walking towards me. Camille has told me so much about you, about how much you've matured. My mind went back to the night he'd sneaked into my room and ripped my shirt open as I screamed. I had to run into the hallway while covering my chest, and here he was, acting like we could pretend that never happened. Meanwhile, Camille was just melting in his arms. I pulled her to the bathroom after faking an upset stomach. Camille, that's him! That's the guy who was stalking! She cut me off. Jordan, please don't start with this. Then she rolled her eyes. Derek already explained that it was a hookup gone wrong. Just move past it. It wasn't a hookup, I whispered, trying not to alert Derek, who was no doubt listening. He literally snuck into my room at 2 in the night, and when I reported it, his dad, you are sounding like a really bad friend right now, Jordan. Just be happy for me. Besides, his dad is the dean at your old college. They're good people. I know that his dad's the dean. That's why when I reported the incident, the one who received a warning was me. Yep, I'd received a warning for running nude in the hallways while trying to escape from the dean's son. Camille then continued and said, look, just deal with it. If you're my friend, you won't stir up drama. Drama? Camille, he's dangerous. She was already walking out before I could finish. Truthfully, I wanted to run. I wanted to be as far away as possible from Derek. But Camille was my best friend since childhood, and I couldn't just let Derek have her. When I walked back to the bedroom, Derek was in the middle of saying, she's just confused, babe. You know I would never do that. I glared at him, and he glared back. I told Camille I was going back to my own dorm for the night, and Derek followed me under the guise of escorting me. As soon as we were far enough away so Camille wouldn't hear anything, Derek closed the distance and whispered, it doesn't matter if you tell everything to your friend. You'll only be making things difficult for yourself. And I believed him enough to bite down on it. Apparently he had transferred to our college because I saw him sitting right behind me during my next lecture. He sat one row behind me and didn't say a word the entire lecture. He didn't have to. After class, I packed up fast and left without looking back, but he still caught up. He grabbed my wrist first, just for a second, just long enough to stop me mid-step. Walk with me, he said, not a question. I yanked my arm free and kept moving. He fell into step beside me like I'd agreed to it. Camille cried last night because she thinks you hate her, he said. I told her you were just struggling to adjust. I've been defending you, Jordan. You should think about that. I didn't answer. He leaned in close enough that I could feel his breath against my ear. You should also think about how easy it would be for me to stop. You reported me once, and how'd that work out for you? Remember that. That was Monday. By Wednesday, he was already seated at my usual table in the library when I arrived. I turned around and found another table across the room. 20 minutes later, he sat down next to me so close that his arm pressed against mine. I stood up and left, but I could feel him smirking behind me. Thursday, he was 2 spots behind me in the dining hall line, and when I stepped out of it, he followed me to the table I chose. You're losing weight. You need to eat. He said it while his eyes dragged across my body. I felt so disgusted that I spit out the food in my mouth and just went back to my room without eating. Then one afternoon, he stepped in front of me on the path between buildings and didn't move. His voice came out flat and certain. You just don't get it, do you? He said Camille was never the point. He'd followed her to this school because of me, dated her to stay inside my life, and he was done being patient about it. You've been running for 2 years, he said. I want you to really think about how tired you must be. He stepped closer. I'm not asking anymore, Jordan. I'm telling you. Stop making this harder than it needs to be, because the harder you make it, the harder it gets. He looked at me for a long moment, and then he smiled. You don't have anyone left to run to. You know that, right? I stood on that path and my hands were shaking, and every single instinct I had was screaming at me to pack a bag and disappear. But I thought about Camille. I thought about his father's office and the warning letter with my name on it. Then I decided that I wouldn't allow him to win. Not anymore. That same night, I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone when I heard my window being opened. I got startled and thought it was someone's cat, but when I actually looked over, I was stunned. It was Derek. He'd climbed to my floor from the outside. He came through like he'd done it before, dropping onto the floor with both feet. Then he looked directly at me in a way that made my stomach churn. I backed toward the door. What are you doing, Derek? Leave before I scream. No. He walked toward me with both hands out, unhurried, and started talking. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this? He tilted his head like he was genuinely curious about the answer. 2 years, Jordan. 2 years of watching you run, watching you report me, watching you switch college like that was going to do anything. He took another step. I've been so patient with you. I want you to actually understand that. I have been so unbelievably patient. My back found the door. My hand found the handle. It was locked. I'm going to scream, I said, trying to get him to back off, but my voice came out smaller than I wanted it to. He smiled at that. No, you won't. You didn't scream the last time I sneaked into your room. That was the best night of my life until you decided to ruin it by rejecting me. He was close enough now that I could see his expression clearly, and what made my blood go cold wasn't anger. It was calm. He was completely calm. Here's what's going to happen, he said. You're going to stop fighting this tonight. You've been making this so much harder than it needs to be, and I'm done letting you. He reached out and put one hand flat against the door beside my head. I came here to take what I've wanted for 2 years, and I'm going to do that whether you cooperate or not. He leaned in. Tonight, that's it. That's exactly what I was waiting for. I reached behind me and held up my phone to show that I was recording. Derek's eyes dropped to it and something shifted in his face for the first time. The calm cracked, just slightly, just enough. I've been recording since the window opened, I said. Every word, including the part where you said you'd take what you want whether I cooperate or not. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to climb back out that window. You're going to stop calling me. You're going to leave Camille alone, and you are never, under any circumstances, going to come within 50 feet of me again. My voice was cracking and I was scared that he would still attack me, but I kept going. I even held the phone up higher, because if you do, I'm not going to the dean. I'm not filing a report. I looked him directly in the eyes. I'm posting this everywhere, every platform, every account, your name, your face, and everything you just said in this room. He panicked and immediately put both hands up. Jordan, hey, listen, you need to relax, okay? I was joking around. This was a joke. His voice had changed entirely, the certainty replaced with something almost frantic underneath the surface. We don't need to make this into something it isn't. Just put the phone down and we can talk about this like adults. I didn't say anything. I heard him mutter crap under his breath, and then he bolted for the window. But I guess he was way too scared, because in the process of climbing out, his leg got hooked and he fell out. He landed on his face, and I swear I heard something crunch. Maybe it was a black eye, maybe it was a broken nose, maybe even both. Fine, I'll leave you alone. Just delete that recording. That was the last thing he said before running away. I posted the recording the next morning anyway. By that same evening, Derek had been suspended and blacklisted from every college in our state, including the one where his dad worked.